What kind of freedom do you really have if you cannot afford to keep the lights on? That is the question North Carolina families are facing as Duke Energy rate hikes move forward while everything else around us keeps climbing. Groceries are up, rent is up, insurance is up, property taxes are up, gas is up, medical bills are up, and now electricity, one of the most basic needs of modern life, is getting more expensive as well. But here's the problem. Retirement checks are not jumping by the same amount. Social Security is not keeping pace with the real cost of living. EBT benefits are not magically covering the difference. Wages are not rising fast enough for working families who have already tried to hold the line. And for those of you that say, get a job, do more work, there's less work and more bills. So when power companies and politicians talk about rate hikes like they are just another technical adjustment, the people sitting at the kitchen table, they know better. This is not just an energy story. This is a survival story. Welcome back. I am Peter Boykin. This is Go Right with me, Peter Boykin, your Constitutionalist for Liberty. You could read this full article on GoRightNews.com, and you can follow more commentary at PeterBoykin.com, and you can also support the movement and the message and our music at GoRightMusic.com. Now, the question on the table is simple. Is North Carolina pricing people out of power? And maybe the bigger question is it really freedom if working families cannot afford to keep the lights on? Now, Duke Energy says it needs more money for fuel costs, grid reliability, infrastructure, growth, winter storm expenses, and stronger electric systems. Those costs are real. Nobody serious should pretend that power plants, poles, wires, substations, fuel, and emergency repairs are free. Although, I'll just interject that I believe that this is supposed to be our future. We should be getting cheaper energy, not more expensive energy. Where is this glorious future we were promised in our youth? Now, according to my article, Reuters reported that Duke sought to recover more than $800 million in fuel and power purchases costs after extreme winter demand, with proposed monthly increases for Duke Energy Carolinas and Duke Energy Progress customers. I'm telling you, we all felt that, though, during the winter. The costs of winter expenses were extremely high for all of us, and we had these huge bills that we all had to take care of. I mean, expenses were outrageous. We just now working on taking care of the end of the last year's bills. The winter months were horrible for individuals, and it really put everybody behind in a time where people are making less money. And it's harder to get to work, and people having to call out, and Christmas and everything. It just sets you up for a horrible new year. Now, WRAL also reported that Duke Energy Progress sought an 18% residential rate hike increase in over 2 years, 18%, which could mean more than $34 per month for the average customer by 2028. And our utility bills are already super high. But let us stop right there, because the word average is doing a lot of work. An average increase does not hit everyone the same way. For a family with a good income, another $20 or $30 a month may be just annoying. But for a retired person who's on a fixed income, that can make the difference between picking up a prescription or waiting. For a single parent, it can mean stretching groceries another week. For someone on disability, EBT, Social Security, or a paycheck that already fails to match inflation, it's not just a number. It is pressure. It is stress. It is another bill shoved into a stack that is already way too high. And I know about that bill stack as well, folks. I'm just like y'all. We have to worry about bills. Bill is the man that comes every month and leaves about the end of the month and turns around and knocks on the door again. As soon as you get everything caught up, you think it's a new month and it's all over again. And after the cold winter months many North Carolina families just went through, this hits even harder. NC Newsline reported that the winter cold led to higher utility bills and more calls for help in Charlotte and other cities like here in Burlington and Mebane here in North Carolina. Now that matters because people are not just arguing over abstract policy charts. They are opening real bills at real kitchen tables. They're looking at the power bill and the rent and the insurance and the groceries and the car payments and the medicine and the gas tank and the credit card balance. And they're like, trying to figure it out, you know. Then they hear another rate hike is coming. I've been saying this every year. Every year I hear about Duke Power, Duke Energy raising the rates. I can't remember a year where I haven't thought about it or saw it coming. And we're just supposed to accept it. No, we're not. That is where regular people have every right to push back. And I think we tried to, but they passed it anyway. The real issue is not whether Duke Energy has costs. Of course it does. We all do. The real issue is who always ends up carrying the load. When fuel costs spike, the customers pay. When infrastructure needs expansion, the customers pay. When growth outpaces planning, the customer pays. When the winter storms hit hard, the customer pays. When the profits are strong, though, when new investments are needed, the customer pays. But when the profits are strong, working families do not get a rebate check. Now that's an imbalance. And that reminds me of the government. Once you give the government more and more power, they're never going to give it up. So once you give companies more and more money, and they know that we're going to pay more or we're forced to pay more, they're just going to charge more. They're never going to give us a rebate. And energy is not some luxury item that people can simply cut out of their lives. Electricity is heat. Electricity is refrigeration. Electricity is medical equipment. Electricity is internet access. Electricity is schoolwork, food storage, transportation systems, small business operations, hospitals, farms, and the whole supply chain. This is a necessity. So when we're dealing with a monopoly, a regulated monopoly, we cannot pretend that this is just normal free market situations. Families cannot just simply shop around for another power company the way they can shop around for another restaurant or a phone plan or a grocery store. That means the state, the Utilities Commission, and Duke Energy have a higher responsibility. A utility protected from normal competition should face a stronger public accountability. That means transparency. That means independent audits. That means clear public oversight. That means real protections for low-income families, seniors, and working people. And that means making sure residential customers are not turned into the shock absorber for every bad forecast, every fuel cost problem, every policy decision, and every planning failure. Now, North Carolina is growing. That's true. There's a lot of states out there growing. More people are moving here. More businesses are coming here. More infrastructure is needed. They're building more on my own street off the highway. A Buc-ee's and a Target and a whole other complex and more apartment complexes. I drive around this county and the state, especially this county. It's growing and more infrastructure. More people are moving here. More businesses are coming here. More infrastructure is needed. But growth should not become an excuse to crush the people who already live here. Now, in Alamance County, Guilford County, Mecklenburg County, Wake County, and all across the state, families are dealing with the same pressure. Housing costs are rising. Local taxes are rising. Food costs are rising. Insurance is rising. Utilities are rising. And working people are being told to tighten their belts again and again and again. And at some point, elected officials have to stop talking like accountants and start listening like neighbors. Because a family that cannot afford heat in the winter is not living in prosperity. A senior afraid to turn up the thermostat is not living in liberty. A parent choosing between power and groceries is not living the American dream. They are surviving inside a system that keeps billing them for failures they did not create. Now, here's my final perspective as Peter Boykin, your constitutionalist for liberty. Freedom is not just a word we wave around during campaign season. Freedom has to mean something in the real lives of real people. It means being able to work hard and still afford a home. It means being able to retire and not fear every mailbox bill. It means being able to raise a family without one winter storm pushing you towards shutoff notices. It means being able to live in a constitutional republic where essential services are not treated like endless profit machines while the public is told to be quiet and pay up. No, government should not control every industry. No, we should not pretend utilities have no costs. Yes, essential services should be held to a higher standard. Yes, monopoly power should be watched closely. Yes, politicians should stop acting like rate hikes are painless. And yes, North Carolina should ask whether regular people are being priced out of basic necessities of life. Because when the lights stay on but the people are drowning, that is not prosperity. That is survival with a billing statement. Folks, this has been Go Right with myself, Peter Boykin, your constitutionalist for liberty. Again, I ask you to visit GoRightNews.com and PeterBoykin.com and GoRightMusic.com to follow, to share, to subscribe, and support independent media that still believes the people come before the powerful. You can support this platform at Cash App at $GoRightNews. It costs me about $200 a month to run this stuff. You can stay informed, you can stay free, and remember, it's time to go right, folks. Remember to like and share and go to Rumble, Go Right News, YouTube. Look for me there. I'm on Spreaker and everywhere else. God bless everybody, and stay safe. Peace.